Hey, it's Brian Mudd. This is my cheat sheet for Wednesday, June 6th. Coming up, an important message for small businesses, but first, a word from Wisconsin. Wisconsin, and this might sound like an overreach, but it's not, and I'll explain in a moment. Wisconsin, the results yesterday might be more important than the outcome of the 2010 elections. And I'm not saying that the outcome nationally, in terms of policy, is anywhere near as significant as the Republicans taking control of the House and what's happened from a policy standpoint since that period of time. But the implications of what happened in Wisconsin, let me explain. By the numbers. Wisconsin is the 11th most reliably Democratic state in the country, meaning that it's a Democrat stronghold. It's one that typically in state and thus when you're taking a look at a presidential picture, it's one of those that you can check off early. The last time that Wisconsin voted for a Republican for president was Reagan in '84. And keep in mind that 49 of the 50 states thought that was the right thing to do in '84. So Wisconsin just went along with everybody else. When you take a look, though, at the election cycles that we've seen, this is the first time since 2004 that we've actually had an election situation that was voting for something rather than against what was already in place. In 2004, you had the re-election of President Bush and the expansion by Republicans of their control of the House and the Senate. By 2006, we started voting against the Republicans, the policy that had been in place, right? Democrats took control of Congress. By 2008, it was the completion of that. President Obama represented a complete reversal from what we had seen coming out of the Bush administration, and we voted for the hope and change, the opposite of where we were. By 2009, we started voting for, taking a look at Virginia, Massachusetts, New Jersey, the opposite of President Obama and what the Democrats had begun to put in place through stimulus, health care, and such. By 2010, it was the completion of that, the completion of voting against what was in place, the Republicans taking control of the House and making big gains in the Senate. Last night, in the 11th most democratically controlled state in the country, the most conservative policy that's been put in place since Reagan was voted for. And here's the bigger thing, voted for by a bigger margin than the midterms in 2010. Scott Walker won by 6 points in 2010, won by 7 points last night, and with more voter turnout. Here's the other thing. Traditionally, high voter turnout benefits Democrats. And that's part of the reason why some Democrats are saying, well, 2010, yeah, it was a big reversal, but by the time you get to the presidential election, Democrats will fare better because when we see higher voter turnout, which you always do see in presidential elections rather than midterms, then it'll end up benefiting Democrats again, and you'll see a bit of a reversal. Well, okay, so in the 11th most democratically controlled state, you had people voting for the policy of Scott Walker, and by a bigger margin, and voter turnout was much higher than 2010, the highest we've ever seen in a recall election of any sort anywhere in the country, 65+%. So you put all this together, and it does have huge implications. The other thing it will send is a message to Washington that you can, through conservative fiscal reform, get people to your side. You can win people over with that message. And as we're taking a look at the fiscal cliff at the end of this year, this has reverberations through all of Washington policy, through all of the politicians, and what they might consider doing as we head into 2013, pending the outcome of this year's elections. And for Wisconsin itself, I mentioned yesterday that if President Obama has to worry about Wisconsin by November, it'll be a Romney landslide, because Wisconsin should be one, since he won it by 14 points in 2008, that he doesn't even have to think about. So interesting all the way around. And by the way, independents always end up driving federal elections, right? Independents certainly seem like they're more in the 2010 camp of breaking with Republicans than the 2008 camp of breaking with Democrats. All right, small businesses. This is an important message for you. If you can't accept payment, then you're pretty much out of business, right? I want you to start devising, if you haven't already, a PayPal mobile payment system plan. If you're wondering which mobile payment system is going to stick, it's going to be PayPal, it would appear. And the reason? Major corporations are breaking for PayPal in a very big way. This doesn't mean that if you like one of the other mobile payment systems, you can't accept it. You can always accept as many methods of payment as you want. You just have to make sure you accept the ones that people want to use. This is the future of like Visa and MasterCard. PayPal, I think, is going to be the version of Visa and MasterCard in the future. You already have 15 national companies that have announced plans to accept and are, in some cases, already accepting PayPal for mobile payments. It looks like many more, dozens more, major corporations are going to begin accepting it soon. So you as a small business person need to ensure that your customers have access to it, because that could become the norm in the future. And there's no reason you can't. And in fact, many small businesses, like if you sell on eBay, you already have PayPal business accounts. So it shouldn't be a big stretch for you. That is the cheat sheet for today. Plenty more on the physical cheat sheet. Enjoy yours. See you tomorrow.